家人们，我们现在是晚上12点43。
The White Thread at Guangling No. 3. A psychological horror told in 6 short parts. I, the door. I was the one who broke the seal. Not out of courage. Out of hunger, the kind that gnaws beneath the ribs until you stare into what terrifies you. Guangling No. 3 City Hospital had slept 22 years. The steel door was the color of old teeth, the municipal wax yellow as dried fat. Mid-autumn, air smelled of burned rice stalks. I told myself I was there to research forgotten buildings. Really, I was there to open something that had stayed closed too long. The door sighed as it yielded. Darkness breathed iodine and dust. Hand-painted slogans peeled from the wall. Qingjie, Xiaodu, Chongsheng, Cleanliness, Disinfection, Rebirth. My flashlight found broken syringes, a fallen bed caster, and a loop of white thread caught on a tile like the tail of a ghost. On a glass-covered notice board, a nurse roster bloomed with mildew. One name repeated in careful strokes, Lin Shui. Beneath it, written faintly in pencil, Biexing Ta, don't wake him. A chill moved through the building and into me. I felt, absurdly, that someone nearby had just remembered my name. 2 footsteps missing. The third-floor corridor was gray with tired light. Beds waited like open mouths. A glass of water had dried itself into a white ring. At the nurse's station, photos clung to the wall. A birthday cake, faces mid-laugh, snow in a courtyard. On the back of one, night shift finally over. In the medicine room, drawers lay open like emptied throats. Another coil of white thread shone on the floor. At the end of the ward, a curtain stood drawn around bed 23, hem stitched with fresh, bright thread. I pulled it aside. The bed was empty. On the pillow rested a nurse's cap, white, stiff, immaculate. Its red cross the only color in the room. The air smelled faintly of lavender. When I turned, the corridor dimmed as if a cloud had passed through the building. For a heartbeat, a figure stood in the gloom, a woman in white, head bowed. I blinked, and she was gone, leaving behind the ache of something almost remembered. I hurried toward the stairs. Halfway up, my steps went silent. I stopped. The silence stopped. A white thread stretched across the stair, tied to a nail. My heel had touched it, muting sound like a gouging string. The thread was ice-cold beneath my fingers. There's always a thread in hospitals. It binds the living to the dying and keeps the hands working. Pull it, and something moves that shouldn't. I stepped over it. 3, Ward B. Double doors marked B waited at the end of the hall. When I pushed, a pressure met me, as though a palm pressed back. Then the doors yielded. The air inside was thick and paper dry. 6 beds, 1 curtain half fallen. A whiteboard listed names fading into blue. Beside each, the character hall, good. Below them, written again and again until the pen died. Biexing, don't wake him. Dust lay smooth, except for a narrow path drawn straight to the board. Who is he? I asked. Behind me, cloth rustled. The curtain of bed 2 was closed now, a shape sitting behind it. Head bowed, shoulders curved. Hello. My voice thinned. I'm just visiting. Tick, tick, tick. A rhythm near my ear, not mechanical, but patient like a needle through cloth. I touched the stitched seam of the curtain. It trembled under my finger. Don't, whispered a voice beside my face. Mint and paper masks. The whisper knew my childhood name. Wei Wei. I froze. Then, slowly, I pulled the curtain. The bed was empty. White threads lay scattered across the sheet, teeth of a ripped seam. A distant scream echoed down another corridor, the kind that has been echoing for decades, and no one has answered. I bent for my fallen flashlight, and a hand met mine. Cool, dry, exact. The fingers folded gently around my palm, not taking, just completing. A sleeve brushed my cheek, lavender again. Don't wake him. The voice murmured, soft and disciplined, as if speaking to a child half asleep. He's almost past it. If he wakes, he'll remember. Remember what? How it hurts. The newspaper clippings had said, a man in his 40s, routine surgery, unexpected outcome. No names. No nurse. Lynn, I whispered. Nurse Lynn. The hand guided me up, patient as gravity. "Don't wake him," she said again, and the last word dropped like a stone into water that never stopped deepening. For the records, I found a records room by scent. Old paper, starch, something sweet. Metal shelves leaned inward. Files slept in boxes sealed with, of course, white thread. I untied one. Lin Shui, night shift nurse, joined 1997. Commended for calm, rapport, endurance. A photograph. Young face, hair pinned, small scar on her chin. The Red Cross at perfect center. Eyes that had learned to lift without leaving fingerprints. An incident report in another hand. April 12th. Patient H agitated post-surgery. Sedative given per Dr. Gao. Ward B door opened twice without authorization. Nurse Lin reports someone in corridor. Warning issued. A note tucked behind it. We're not listening. If he wakes, he'll tear something loose. Don't wake him. A short piece of thread fell from the page, knotted once. I pocketed it before I could think why. When I turned to leave, the door brushed my sleeve and caught a thread. It tugged alive. "Stay a little," said the wall itself. "He's almost through. I can't. I don't know who he is." Silence loosened like breath. Then the soft reply. Everyone says that, until the name rises like a fever. V, the White Knight. Night arrives fast in dead buildings. The halls filled with the smell of wet plaster. My phone died. The flashlight's beam thinned to thread. Downstairs, the courtyard doors were chained. I rattled them. The noise climbed upward and returned as a bell's chime. Clear, delicate, unafraid. The sound drew me to a door that earlier had been only wall. It opened into a single ward. One bed, one chair. A frozen clock showing 2:37. A bell sat beside a thermos, its handle wrapped with red thread. I touched it. The ring was exact, gentle enough to wake only memory. She was suddenly there, standing where the air thickened. White uniform, white cap, hands too calm to be living. "You stayed," I said. I stayed. Her face was dim, her hands precise. The Red Cross burned softly in the half-light. "Don't wake him," she said. "Who?" The name rose of its own accord. "Father. If he wakes, there's pain." "The pain isn't the worst," she said. "It's remembering that it never ends." "Then why did the hospital close?" "The doctor made the right cut," she said quietly. "The body bled more than it should. No one did wrong, and because no one did wrong, everyone failed. They sealed the silence into the walls." I stayed. He needed not to wake yet. "How long did you sit?" "As long as he needed, and a little longer." Her hand brushed the bell. The sound died like breath in cotton. "What if he wants to wake?" I asked. He did. He called without voice. When someone pulls hard enough, the seam they want opens, and others follow. Her eyes flicked toward the window, listening to footsteps I couldn't hear. "I stitched," she whispered. "Not yet. Please, not yet." And then he woke. The words sliced the air cleanly. The window cleared. From far away came the scrape of a bed being moved by careful hands. "I can write it down," I said. "Right?" She answered, almost tender. "But don't wake him." When I begged for the man's name, she only said mine. Wei Wei, you have your own seam," she warned. "Don't pull it to show me." 6. The door again. I left the small ward. The chain on the main doors hung loose now. The lock slid open like a sigh. Outside, the parking lot was black glass under the moonless sky. As I stepped through, the air tightened around me, a net soft but absolute. Her voice followed, "Don't wake him." Not a threat, a mercy. "I won't," I said, though I didn't know whom I promised. On the street, the knot of white thread in my pocket pulsed with warmth. I opened my hand. It glowed only with certainty, the weight of a promise knotted small enough to carry. 22 years ago, my father died the week Guangling No. 3 closed. The dates aligned like teeth. The nurse who had hummed beside his bed had worn a cap stitched with a red cross. I returned a week later. The door sighed its recognition. Inside, the whiteboard of Ward B was clean, and on bed 23, the cap waited again. The cross faded to pink. At the nurse's station, a scrap of paper pinned with a syringe cap. "Shishin, thank you." I left it there, sealed the door as best I could. If you ever go, and you will, because warnings never work, you'll see the threads. You'll step over them and feel steadied. You'll hear a bell and think of someone who almost woke. And when the voice calls your secret name and asks you not to wake him, remember this. Mercy isn't always the hand that lifts. Sometimes it's the hand that rests, holding the seam together.